Well, revolution has many forms, and actually what we talk about in this documentary on History Channel in January relates directly to this, is that what were the Mayans devising when they devised this calendar with its 3 segments of timed keeping? The long count is one of the 3, and that's the count that's ending in 2012 on the winter solstice. It is a count that in normal time has been calculated to be 63 million years long. I find the number 63 interesting because if you look back to 65 million years ago when the comet or asteroid destroyed the dinosaurs, it would have taken about 2 million years for mammals to fill all the empty niches left by the death of the dinosaurs. So 63 million years ago in the Cenozoic early era of the Cenozoic, it was when mammals started dominating the Earth. And that made me think, there are a number of things we talk about, but one thing that is a theory that at least I've had and talked about is that the long count of the Mayan calendar is the Mayans' attempt to count the speed of the evolution of consciousness through the mammalian kingdom as the main opening for that, dolphins, whales, humans, etc. And that somehow 2012 in their calculation is a seed year where perhaps it changes. Perhaps it's taken us 63 million years to get to a point where consciousness will take over the vehicle of this natural body and nature-based unconscious body of collective. I guess I'm trying to edit myself here. It's such a complex thing. We do 2 hours on this documentary about it. That's how complicated it is. To make a long story interesting and short, I guess I would have to say that something before 2012, I posed to you, evolution of consciousness was collective and instinctive, pretty much. A critical mass happens at 2012 and after that may see evolution of consciousness on this planet become individual. And that's what I posed to you, and then that's what maybe it's about 2012.
John, is there anything out there based on Nostradamus's prophecies or yours that truly disturbs you?
Oh, God. Let me count the ways. But
yeah.
What fundamentally disturbs me, and it's really a part of the topic that I end my book on the third Antichrist of Nostradamus about, is I think what disturbs me immediately is the situation developing between America and Russia, because with the whole Georgian debacle, Georgia invading Ossetia and the Russians, taking the Russians to bait, and just they come back, and suddenly we're all talking Cold War terms again. Yeah, even in this debate, McCain tried to dissuade the idea of Cold War, but then he used jargon for his answer that was all Cold War-esque. And Obama, who's using less jargon like that, was not unsympathetic to a similar thing, but anyway, we'll have to see. The next president is going to have to deal with this, and it's very significant. For years, I felt, since 1986, when I published my first book, I have kind of felt like that voice in the wilderness of the prophetic genre, trying to warn people that the strategic arms limits back then in the 80s, all they did is disarm overkill. But they weren't making us safer. Back then, there were so many nuclear weapons that, a disarmament of killing everybody on the planet 800 times over.
Same thing. No.
Yeah, down to 200 times is not very much fun for us. And it's erroneous. And there's so many prophecies. I could do a whole show about this thing alone, is that there are prophecies in Nostradamus and in others that indicate that Russia and America would not fight a thermonuclear war as Cold Warriors. They would become friends, Nostradamus said. They would be called Aquilon, which is a word he uses for the northern kings of the northern wind source. Aquila is the constellation in the autumn that is northernmost, as it would be seen by Roman augurs and prophets. So again, classical metaphors are being in play here. Now, that means a totem of two northern brothers or kings that use an eagle as their totem. Now, that's what I interpret it to mean. Now, the bald eagle of America was there during the Cold War, but the hammer and sickle was the Soviet Union's symbol. So when the Soviet Union fell in 1990 and 91, a few years later, the official totem of the new Russian Federation was a updated, revamped version of the Imperial Russian Eagle. And it's a two-headed eagle. So now, that says to me, we are now in the time of the brothers of the North who were enemies, and now they are brothers. And he, in the prophecy, he talks about that. He dates that. He puts the quatrain as number 89, Century 2, number 89, I believe, is the volume. 89 is the, yes, it was 289, and that's February 1989 was the month that the Soviet Union left Afghanistan, its armies. Significant, because that precipitated the breakdown of the Soviet Union. Later in December that same year, George H.W. Bush, the president of the time, and Gorbachev, the premier of the Soviet Union, officially declared the Cold War over. And then subsequently, the Soviet Union broke up. The new eagle king of the Federation of Russia appeared. And so we are now living in the time frame of these brothers who are not yet brothers in the riddle of Nostradamus, who are halved and divided by a barbare source. Barbare is a word that he uses for Barbary. Barbary corsairs were the contemporary terrorists of Nostradamus' day. They didn't hijack airplanes, they hijacked ships. And they raided the coastlines of Provence, where Nostradamus lived. So they were the Muslim terrorists of his day. He often uses the metaphors of what he knows to project into our future. The Barbari are modern Muslim terrorists, or misguided Islamofascist terrorists. And they are the source for the breakdown of this tentative friendship between the brothers of the North. And the problem is that Nostradamus gives us the timeline of a fast track and a long track to war between these two brothers, one which he calls Amarish for America, or Amorica for America. It happens in 3 years and 7 months in the short track. In the long track, 13 years. Now, up till the end of the Cold War, I have not seen anything that allows for a countdown to begin. This thing that happened in August, and this is what concerns me the most, this thing that happened in August with the invasion of Georgia, this thing that's been building between radar stations and missile systems in Eastern Europe that are threatening Russia, could be the beginning of the time to count down, which means that if this is correct, then the next president in 2012, early 2012, that's when the first countdown ends, and we have thermonuclear war with Russia in the first term of the next president, or it is delayed as 2021.
Let's hope it's 2021.
Or
longer.
Or longer, or never, but it's just certainly, this is the warning, and again, I have to stress, this is something I've been yelling like a guy in the wilderness of prophecy interpretation for many years. Many prophets warn that the Third World War is a war that'll happen when people walk with their eyes wide open into the conflagration. They have this illusion that they're safe. It only takes a few minutes or a day maximum for all these. There are more missiles now potentially that could be pointed at Russia and America from the two former Cold Warriors states that existed during the Cuban Missile Crisis.